everyone, welcome to my channel, Learning Algorithms. How can you get accepted on the research proposal defense? Today, I am going to teach you how to persuade your panel to give you their thumbs up to the presentation part of your proposal. Remember, this is just on the presentation part because there are other aspects as well that should be considered in a proposal defense of whether a funded research project or a course project. That being said, this video is focused on one area, that is your PowerPoint presentation. Although you can use other presentation applications, but for those who are not really techy, I use this app because I find it easier to manipulate. So, what will you include in your content presentation and how should it look like? The first slide that I have here, of course, is the title and with your name as the author. It should be large enough to be seen and should catch attention. And you may include pictures such as what you see here. Just make sure that pictorial representation is connected to the title of your study. And of course, you may be able to include your course, the seal of your university or of your college, and you may add your own picture there if you want to. So if you notice here the pictorial presentation, I actually have here that the picture is related to matching, and of course we also have here the diploma, and the card is also related to university education. So you have to ensure that the pictures that you put there together with your title is related to your overall study, and of course don't forget the most important part as well, you. Alright. Now, if you notice, by the way, usually when you deliver your presentations, you'll be given between 10 to 20 minutes to present your study, and that applies to, even if you do international research conventions. So you need to consider the number of slides in your presentation, that it should be stuffed just like a meatball, complete with ingredients. And now I'm quite hungry. Anyway, so I have here the second slide. You may now have a global perspective based on the literature. So this is where you ground the problems based on your review of the literature. You should start off in the worldwide problems through grouping of figures, and what I have used here, that text. Of course, you can also include data or studies. And if you notice at the lower portion, I wrote there the reference where I had taken the text. Then this is another example of a global problem with author. And if you notice the background, I have a global map, so just to show that it's really global. And if you want to include another, you can go for the Asian and then the specific country, the current data on your specific country. And don't forget the author as well. And here is my fourth slide. Well, it happens most of the time that students will fill in the slides with a lot of paragraphs or are else related to the study. There's nothing wrong with a lot of paragraphs with that, except being so scripted, and obviously it will really create a message to the panel that you are not confident, or when you're in an international conference, it will signal that you are a novice or researcher. So somehow you don't want to give that impression. Here my fourth slide, for example, I will read this as: the European Commission 2010 reported that it would take 19.3 months for youths to find their first employment after graduating from a university. So see? No paragraphs here. Now let's take a look at another slide. There. how are you going to read this one? It's like this. It was reported by the Investment Climate Survey 2012 in Albania that graduates find difficulty in the first position because of the lack of experience in the profession, such that this would be a lack of skills as restriction to the business of employers. Like big companies stated that 51% would cause a lack of skills as a restriction for their business. The foreign companies stated that 48% would cause for the lack of skills as a restriction, and the exporters said that it would cause 41% as a restriction to the business entities. So if you notice, no paragraphs here, no place for paragraphs here. So let's have another. Okay, now how are you going to deliver this one? If you notice, if ever I include a sentence, it's just one but not the entire paragraph. So just like this one, Mandaris et al. In 2010 study stated that in the era where the higher education demands more competition and skills in this complex labor market, innovation, particularly in offering responsive curriculum, is a means to achieve it. Now, I also included in my study, since I would like to convince my panel to approve my study during that time, and if you are still having that kind of proposal, you can include a SWOT analysis, which I also included in my study to convince my panel, but I just blurred it. You cannot really see the statements for confidentiality purposes. But of course, it's different when you are in a international research conference, because it's not really necessary that you include the SWOT in your presentation given the short period of time. Remember, the SWOT is good for when you have your presentation, your research proposal rather, that you will deliver. But I'm not going to go to the details of how you do a SWOT analysis here, but we may have that in another time. Okay, so let's proceed now. So I have here, if you notice, I have the target there because this was the aim of my study. It was to assess a graduate's job performance, satisfaction, attributes of the graduates of MSU Jensen. Next, I also presented in my slide the significance of the study, why this should really be approved, or why this study was approved in the first place. So I rated here the significance, and of course the graduates, how it will be significant for them, for the university itself in the third column, and of course for the employers. So again, the idea is to persuade your panel to approve your research proposal. I also included my conceptual framework, so I won't really go to the details, but if you notice, there are no paragraphs here, just mainly my conceptual framework. So you have to have another copy, just like a cheat sheet, if you want to explain fully about your conceptual framework. So it's just one slide. Okay, now for the methodology, so in one slide you can already see my study design and how it will be carried out. So it's easier for the panel to look at simply what you'll do to undergo or to undertake your study. Next, of course, you can include as part of your presentation the sampling, the number of the respondents and your participants for your study, or even your interviewers. It depends upon the kind of methodology that you will have, but on my part I have the proportionate sampling, so the study on matching university education to the job performance of the graduates in the workplace. So from 2012 to 2016, and that's the sampling that I had. Okay, which you can include in your study, of course. And if ever you have another sampling, then you might as well try to reason out as well why you choose such sampling. Okay. Next, I also included as part of my study the location that I will have. So it covered Serengani, South Cotabato, and General Santos. So this one is really focused in my country, in my specific hometown. So you should do that one as well. But it's not really the real map of the place. But if you prefer, you can actually have that your map, your own map. You can have it here if you want to. And of course, I also included the timeline, what I really would, when I really would want to achieve this research proposal. So I had like 1 year to do this one. So from the first month up to the last month. So you can include that one as well in your research proposal, supposing that you really would like to graduate on time. And lastly, for the proposal that I have, if you are on a looking for a funding for your research proposal, then you can include a budget, which I have here as an example. So it's 75,000. But it depends upon the funding, how much you will have for the funding. Okay, so but again, let me remind you, for the international conference, you don't actually include this one, just for the research proposal, whether in a university research proposal for funding or in your course proposal. So yes, last slide that I have, you can write their questions, but my part, what I had written there is hire me, because I would like them to hire me as a researcher for this tracer study. So that's it. I hope you learned something from this video, and I hope you may get the approval of your panel.